Welcome to the Think Like a Saver Town Hall Series. Settle in as our America Saves team, industry experts, and influencers share with you simple, easy to implement solutions for effective saving. Today, you'll walk away with an action plan to jumpstart your new savings journey. We thank you for joining us and invite you to engage with us, share comments, ask questions, and most importantly, get the support you need to take action toward your own financial well-being.
Thanks so much for joining us for Simple Strategies to Help You Save. I'm Kia Young, Director of Communications at America Saves. Before we dive into all of the great resources and information that we have for you today, I wanted to frame a few things for you. First, our why, the reason why we're here, the reason why America Saves thought it was important to have these town halls. Simply put, since the COVID pandemic began, we have witnessed and talked to our savers, our community. A lot of them are struggling. A lot of you are struggling. Some of you are doing okay, but realize that it's time to get a better hold of your finances, and you may not be sure exactly where to start. And then some of you are even doing better than before coronavirus, but you recognize that it's time to make some goals around that increased income. And so as an organization, it has always been our mission to meet people exactly where they are and provide a realistic, practical approach to savings. So that's what we're here to do today. 3 things I need you to know, okay? First, you are going to get concrete tools that are going to help you save more, be better in a better financial space, and be easy to implement into your routines, okay? The second thing that I need you to know is you'll have the opportunity to be one of 5 winners of our Think Like a Saver sweepstakes. Now, these 5 winners are going to get a $500 cash prize to help jumpstart your emergency savings fund or a different savings goal that you might have. Now, to be eligible for the sweepstakes, you have to do 2 things. First, within the first 24 hours of this going live, you have to head to the America Saves Facebook page, find this live stream, and comment with your top takeaway for today, okay? The second thing you'll have to do is make sure that you have taken the America Saves Pledge or Military Saves Pledge. Now, within the last 12 months, okay? So you have to have taken the pledge, America Saves or Military Saves within the last 12 months. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, have I taken the pledge in the last 12 months? I just encourage you, don't leave it up to chance. Go take the America Saves Pledge or Military Saves Pledge so that you know without a shadow of a doubt you've done it, okay? The third thing I need you to know is that as an attendee, because you are here right now or watching right now, no matter when you're watching this, you'll have access to free financial coaching and counseling. It was important to us to not just provide you with information, but to set you up for great success. And thanks to our friends at AFCPE and the Yellow Ribbon Network, you'll be able to have accredited financial counselor or coach help you get clarity around your finances so that you can feel empowered and confident about your financial well-being. So as you participate with us today, we hope that you walk away committed to setting a savings goal and making a financial plan for yourself and for your family. The first step, that's taking the America Saves Pledge or Military Saves Pledge.
We are the Mallard B Family. We're a family of 6. We got 3 boys and 1 little girl.
My husband is active duty military, and we just currently moved from Texas to the East Coast. And so we try really hard to have family dinners together because we don't have that family support close by. Savings is really important to our family. We want to make sure that we have a cushion so that we're not living paycheck to paycheck every month.
Recently, Courtney and I had a bright idea to give the kids an opportunity to save up for a specific goal that they wanted. We thought that it would be a fun idea for them to draw it out. That way they can visualize what they're saving up for. Honestly, I was surprised to hear some of the things that they were saving up for and why they were saving up for them.
I'm saving for a cello because I want to be like Yo-Yo Ma.
I've never heard of Yo-Yo Ma. Threw me for a loop.
For karate. Airplane tickets when I can go to grandma's house. I love candies.
And then we pinned them on a board.
So that they can see it in the home all the time and work towards it. Taking the America Saves pledge keeps you accountable to those goals that you've made for yourself and for your family.
Courtney and I are starting small and thinking big with America Saves.
Well, welcome. I am so excited to chat with my new friend, Lisa Rowan. She is a personal finance expert at Forbes Advisor, and Lisa has done everything, I like to say. She's covered personal finance for Life Hacker and The Penny Hoarder. She's also the author of the newly published book, Money Hacks, 275 Ways to Decrease Spending, Increase Savings, and Make Your Money Work for You. So who better else to get us really in the mindset of getting a clear view of our finances? Lisa, I was first introduced to you through a TED Talk that I watched of you and saw just how you really took control of your finances. And so I'm excited for you to help our savers come up with some really great strategies of how to do that, but also for them to hear your story to see in real life that it can be done. And so I'm just excited to chat with you. Thanks for being here with me, Lisa.
Thanks for having me. This is really exciting. Hi, savers.
So let's just jump right into it, okay? I grew up not talking much about money. Both of my parents were working. I was the oldest of 3 kids. And because I didn't have that background, we grew up kind of middle class, working class. When I became an adult and was kind of released into the wild, I made some really bad choices with money. I'm just going to be honest with you, as a young adult. And, you know, rather than face those bad choices, what I would choose to do is kind of just ignore it. I call it the ostrich, just kind of sticking my head in the sand and pretending like none of that was actually happening. And I quickly learned that things only got worse when you ignored them, but I also felt really empowered when I actually decided, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to actually tell people that I need help. And when I went to my lenders and creditors, they were actually pretty helpful. And it felt, again, really empowering for them to help me and to know that it's actually easier to just talk to them and really start understanding where you are and what options you have when it comes to your finances. So let's talk a little bit about that, Lisa. I know you have your own personal story about getting a clear view of your finances. And not only that, really taking hold and ownership of your finances. So tell me a little bit about that. And if someone is watching right now and they've been avoiding knowing what's going on with their finances, what's going out, what's coming in, what can they do to kind of change that?
Yeah, it can be really scary to look at those numbers, especially if someone like me, look, I'm a personal finance writer now, but I have made my share of money mistakes. And I am also not a person who's great with math. So you show me numbers and I'm not always going to be able to put together what I need to know. Now, dollar signs help because usually like, look, I can do the math on a sale right away, but it's the other stuff that throws me off, right? So, you know, I've gone through my life and gone through several iterations of being in a lot of debt or not having a lot of cash to be able to get out of a bad situation. Even just a couple of years ago, I found myself in a ton of debt because I was running a business that was failing. And I had my student loans from grad school. I had a business loan. I had credit cards. I had, did I have a loan on top of my loans to pay my loans? I had all of these things stacked together and I got so depressed because I felt like I couldn't take care of myself. And all I could see was that total number that I owed. I couldn't break it down in my mind into, okay, make this payment this month, make this payment this month, and just get through each month and start chipping away. All I could see was that big forest. I couldn't see the trees. So it's really important, if you are someone who is in this situation or is just getting some strong financial footing, to be able to look at those components that you have by either calling creditors, doing some research, talking to a financial counselor or a debt counselor to figure out where it is that you are right now. Because if you don't know that, you're not going to be able to grow.
Exactly. Yeah. And we don't want to forget, like, we're in this COVID-19 era. Everyone is in different places financially, especially our savers. We hear from them often. They're submitting their own saver stories to us. And we're still seeing and feeling those effects financially, for sure, from COVID. And most of our savers are really seeing those effects in like 3 different ways. And I'll share them with you. For those of you that are watching, if you find yourself in either of these categories, just feel free to put a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat, only if you're comfortable. But this is kind of where our savers, or where we're seeing our savers fall when it comes to their finances since COVID-19. Either 1, they've lost income somehow. But they had savings and they're having to spend those savings down, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of panic around, watching your savings account pretty much dwindle. The second category is they haven't had a loss of income, which is great, but they also didn't really have savings. And so this has kind of been like your wake-up call of like, okay, just in case something like this happens again, we don't want to have to go through the same struggle. What can I do better, right? So that's the second category. Mm-hmm. Third category is they, for whatever reason, have more money than they did before COVID, maybe with the extra stimulus or extra income from unemployment that we got. Or they were running a business or had some type of boost of income since COVID, and they want to develop a new savings habit. That's the third. So can we take a moment to talk about each of those places, each of those categories, and how to focus on prioritizing savings based on those specific situations? Let's start with that first category. So they've lost income and are having to spend down their savings. What would you tell them to prioritize with that?
First of all, if you're someone who has had a loss of income or has gotten into some dire financial straits during this pandemic and you've had to save your you've had to spend your emergency savings, do not feel guilty. That is what it is there for. You did the hard work to be able to take care of yourself during this time. So whatever guilty feelings you have, write them down and then tear it up and then burn the paper. Just you have to let it go because you did everything right. So now is a time to start rebuilding. Hopefully you've been able to figure out a source of income or figure out some cash flow coming in. And it's going to take you a while to build back that savings. It may be as little as $5 a week while you get back on your feet. So do not expect that you're going to be able to turn around tomorrow and have that account built up to where it was at the beginning of the pandemic. Remember, it probably took you years to get to that point. So start small and recognize those small steps as a win. Do not beat yourself up because you have just a little bit in savings right now.
For sure. We like to say that savings is a habit and not a destination. And so the fact that you're already in that habit of savings is so huge. Like we always like to say that this is the emergency that you were planning for. So don't feel guilty about actually having to spend your savings. That was a lesson that I had to learn for sure. Now let's talk about category 2. So they have not had a loss of income, but COVID has kind of been their wake-up call. Like, okay, like I should have been better prepared and I'm ready to be better prepared now. How should they kind of focus and prioritize their finances right now?
Yeah, this pandemic was like the ugliest wake up call we ever could have had, right? And it's really scary. So you want to get prepared in case something happens within the next couple of months or even further down the line because of maybe something else. So your advice is still similar. You want to start small and focus on building that habit over time, right? See how many weeks you can go consistently while being able to add to your savings and make it sort of a game, right? Another thing that you can think about is paying yourself first. When you get paid or when income comes in, you're going to pay all your essential bills, of course, definitely get those paid. But then before you spend on anything else, set aside money for your savings. And again, don't worry about how much or how little it is, so much as making sure that you're putting aside those funds for yourself. And like I just said, remember that it is going to take time. But the important thing is that you're taking those steps to put aside that money so that if something happens, you have those reserves to pull from.
And what's really a really easy way to save, especially if you're focusing on that savings habit versus the having a specific dollar amount in your account, is to just set it up automatically, right? So, especially since you have a lost income, you have recurring income, your pay frequency, whether it's weekly or biweekly or monthly or bi-monthly, you can automatically have your bank or your employer set up direct deposit so that savings goes directly into your savings account. You don't have to think about it. You can set it and forget it. And you only have to do that first transaction and you're saving, all on your own. So, that's a really easy way to start with that, starting small, thinking big. Really think about what you can afford to save automatically, and then set that up either through your employer or have your bank automatically transfer it on your behalf. So love that advice. And then let's talk about our third category. So they are, experiencing a boost in income, which is great. We are excited for them and want to develop this new savings habit. What should they be focusing on right now?
Yeah, you're definitely among the lucky ones. If you maybe got a stimulus check or an unemployment boost and you didn't really need those immediate funds, we saw the personal savings rate really shoot up this spring because people didn't have anywhere to go with their money. And they were sort of thinking like, well, I need to hold on to my money in case something happens, right? And that's a great mindset, but you can take it a step further and be able to use that money more strategically. So if you're someone who has an extra bit of cash and you're thinking, how can I use it best, utilize it the best for me? And definitely think about that emergency savings fund. If you're someone who has not yet started building up a cash reserve for bills that you have to pay in case you lose your job, definitely start putting some money there. It doesn't mean that you can't treat yourself. If you want to, get some takeout one night or get a streaming movie, on TV, don't go to the movies, stream it. But, set aside a good portion of that funds to really get you started in having those emergency savings. Now, you might be in a different situation where you have an emergency savings fund. It has 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses in it. In that case, you can maybe think about putting some money in a high yield savings account into your retirement account. You might be able to put some funds towards a nonprofit or a charity that you really want to support at this time. So you have options, but it takes time to sit down, really think about where the money is, what might be coming up in the next couple of months, and how you can best use that money to serve yourself, not just today, but in the future as well.
I love that. And I know for me, getting clear on my finances, it was really important to set aside some time and actually look at everything. So one of the resources that we created at America Saves is the spending and savings tool that allows you to get really clear on where your finances are. We will link it there for you so you can download it and use it for your own benefit It's a really cool Excel spreadsheet. You just put the information in there and it automatically updates based on your particular situation.
It does the math for you.
The math for you, which I am not an Excel spreadsheet person. So I appreciate that the team at Amiyrah Saves made that even easier for me. But I think it really can help anyone when it comes to getting a clear view of your finances. It even allows for the fun things that you were talking about, like movies and gym memberships, if we're going to the gym yet. And if we are being socially distant, of course. So like, it allows you to start thinking about long-term savings goals as well as your short-term and having fun, because we do want to, we recognize that we actually have to live and have fun. And, we can't just save every penny and not have an actual life. So it allows for all those things. So we will link it there. It's a great resource tool for you to get super clear on where you are with your finances. But just to kind of wrap it up, Lisa, tell us one more time, what are the concrete steps savers need to take to get super clear on where they are financially?
Yeah, definitely start with what Kia said. Sit down, make a cup of coffee or tea, and spend some time getting to know your money. Go through, check your accounts, check your interest rates, check your due dates, and just get really intimate with that information. And look, you may not like what the numbers look like right now, but you're getting a status update. And remember, this is just the starting point, right? So once you have that starting point, then you can really start to think about what your saving strategy is based on your situation. And remember that it may not be that you're saving a lot right away, but the important thing is that you're creating a habit and saving regularly through setting up automated transfers to a savings account, or by even setting an alarm on your calendar so that you routinely go, if you don't have that consistent income, routinely sit down, look at your finances, and transfer some of that money over to savings. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It doesn't matter how slow you run or walk. What matters is that you are thinking ahead and you are setting aside whatever you can, because you never know when the next pandemic is going to happen, and you're going to want to be ready, and it's not going to be perfect, but you can start getting prepared.
I love that. And I love the idea of like grabbing a cup of tea and sitting down and just really planning time to, I think you said, get to know your money. Like that. That's something that a lot of us don't take the time to do, especially those of us that aren't rich, right? They have financial advisors, they have all these great people and tools that can tell them what to do. And then those of us that aren't, in that situation, we just kind of have to figure it out for ourselves. So one of the things that we wanted to offer our savers is some way to get help, right? And so by being and participating in this town hall with the help of the Yellow Ribbon Network and AFCPE, we are offering a way that all of our savers can get free financial coaching and counseling. That means someone to help you get that clear view of your finances. So if you want to do it yourself, you can use that really great savings and spending tool that we have linked for you. But even more importantly, to have someone that is certified to do this and to advise you through it so that you can get that clear view of your finances and start making those plans, right? Those long-term goals. You'll be able to see how much can you afford to save toward education for your children, or to buy your home, or retirement. You'll be able to really start planning for your future in a way that you haven't been before, because you know exactly the state of your finances. So we can't thank you enough, Lisa, for giving us some really great advice, insight, expertise on how to just really start small with simple strategies to help you save. And yeah, is there anything else? If you had one takeaway, one thing that they needed to do right now, what would you say to wrap this all up?
I would say just get ready to get down and dirty with the numbers and sort of live in them. And definitely don't be afraid to ask for help. There is no shame in asking for someone to hold your hand and walk you through this process. A couple years ago, worked with a debt counselor. There is no shame in having someone help you work through this and help you get a good picture of your finances.
I love that, because a lot of people do hear financial coaching or counseling and it might feel like, ooh, like, first of all, it's opening you up. We don't like to talk about our money to other people. We don't want to feel judged about it. And you definitely won't feel like that with these financial advisors. You should leave that feeling empowered and confident and ready. So thank you for sharing that too, because we've heard a lot that, they just don't want to talk about their money with other people. And it really can be such a game changer. So Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today. I always enjoy talking to you and getting all of your great advice and soaking it all up. So thank you for chatting with our savers today.
Thank you so much. I'll see you in the Q&A.
All right, we'll see you soon. So Amiyrah, we just, chatted with Lisa and heard her mention the spending and savings tools. And we know that our savers love that tool because it really helps them get a clear view of their finances. It helps them create a budget that works for them based on their own individual expenses, their own needs, what they actually want, and their future goals. So you want to help me to show our attendees how to use this tool?
I'd love to. And this is the kind of tool, thing that Lisa mentioned that we should sit down with our cup of tea and just spend some time on, right?
Yes, it was that exactly. So I'm going to share my screen here, and what you'll go to first is americasaves.org. Then you will click on Learn How to Create a Budget. It's going to bring up this really great blog post that you will definitely want to read, but for time's sake right now, we'll just take you over to the spending and savings tool.
And it opens up a nice Excel sheet for you that you can see here on your screen. And the top portion is your results area. So that's where it calculates everything that you're going to input into the sheet. And our colleague Lila, who's an accredited financial counselor, she loves that it automatically makes those calculations for you. Let's show them, Kia, the different sections and familiarize them with what they'll want to gather and have on hand. So first, monthly income, and also monthly expenses.
Yeah, in the monthly expenses category, we try to be really all-encompassing in this area, not just focusing on your priorities, but actual real-life expenses that you have.
Right, like the adulting and social activities sections. You want to include all of those things in your budget, not just the big things or the regular things.
Right, we are getting real, true clarity here. So if you don't plan to change those habits or don't have a need to change those habits, you want to make sure that you're including them right up front so that you won't have any issues on the back end. So we've kind of tried to take into consideration all the things that are possible that we're spending money on.
But Kia, some people just really don't know. Like, we don't always think about all of our spending or little expenses that add up that we just don't keep track of.
Exactly. Lila, again, accredited financial counselor, she had some recommendations about that exact same thing. She suggests that people actually take a week or two to track their expenses. So save every receipt for whatever time you're testing. Note every expense that you have and then use the tool. So if you don't have your mind wrapped around what you're actually spending, take a week or two to just look at save those receipts so you can see for sure before hopping in to this tool. Because just like you said, people know the big things like their rent and their car payment, but they don't necessarily realize all those small things that we spend money on, like stopping by the convenience store in the morning or, ordering takeout or a quick trip to TJ Maxx. I'm guilty of that one. Even gifts to your friends. You don't always consider those things. So I think that's a really great test and something that we should all do is kind of track our expenses for a predetermined amount of time.
I agree. I think that's so useful. And then once you have that for your spending, then you can start to look at your monthly savings section. And so those are the things that you're prioritizing saving for. You may find that you're not saving for all of these things, but if you are, Or if you want to, this is where that information goes.
Absolutely. And once you've input everything, you can then scroll back up to the top and it will automatically calculate for you so that you can see exactly what you're spending. You can see exactly what you're saving, what you have left over. You might even decide to apply more to savings than you have been.
Or on the other side of that, if you're in the negative, you can see clearly where you might need to make some adjustments, or maybe even start thinking about if you need to add additional income for some time, if that's an option for you.
Very true. In today's economy, it is probably easier than ever to add an additional stream of income. If you are healthy right now, and as long as they're safe social distancing practices, you can do things like drive Lyft or be an Instacart shopper, or you may have a hobby that you can turn into an additional stream of income right from your home. So, very easy for you to see clearly what you need and make that decision of maybe instead of curbing some expenses, you can add additional income.
I think this is a really cool tool, and just by spending some time with it, I think savers will really have a lot more clarity around their finances.
Exactly that. And that leads us, great segue into kind of our next section. After you get a clear view on your finances, it's time to really start thinking about those savings goals, right? So to do that, we want to introduce you to our next speakers, Joseph Montanaro and Amiyrah Martin. They both have some amazing credentials. I've known them and their work for quite some time. So let me tell you a little bit about them, and then then you'll hear directly from them. So Joseph Montanaro, or JJ, is a certified financial planner. He is a member of the Financial Planning Association and a director on the USAA military advocacy team. He has more than 25 years of experience in the financial services industry, and before entering that industry, he served in the U.S. Army. JJ's daily focus has been to help families realize their goals, and his advice has appeared in numerous outlets, including Wall Street Journal and others. And then Amiyrah Martin, has the solution for people who are short on time, working with a tight budget. Her solution is to find the fun in frugality. So as a young wife and mom, she didn't really know how to budget for her new family, and soon found herself in extreme debt. So she was determined to make a better way of life for her family. She buckled down, made a plan to get out of debt, and actually paid off over $36,000 in 2 years. To hold herself accountable to her plan, she began writing about her process online, and those journals have evolved into her well-known, wildly popular blog, 4 Hats and Frugal, where she shares some easy to apply strategies and tools.
So Amiyrah, I think we said you're going to start. Is that what we said?
Yes. Well,
you know
know what?
Come on now.
I feel like we both have so much to say about this. So we're going to just list all the steps we needed. But I think it's time for us to talk to everybody about their plans. The both of us know exactly how to make a good plan and stick to it when it comes to finances. So I want to ask you though, what is the first step? What is the actual first step that we should be making after hearing everything that we just heard and feeling like, okay, I know what I'm in store for?
Got the lay of the land, exactly.
Yes. What's the first step that we should be looking at?
Well, to me, it all starts with the why. Why is it we're going to do whatever we're going to do? And what does that mean? Well, it means goals. And so when it comes to financial goals, everybody's probably heard of SMART goals. But when it comes to financial goals, the 2 elements of that SMART analogy or that SMART acronym that really are important are the S, specific. So you want a specific dollar amount on the goal. And T would be time. So it's time bound. So you have a specific time by which you want to accomplish the goals. So I think if you have goals, they provide that motivation. They help you do the right things when it gets tough. And they provide really a visual picture of what you're trying to do. So save, spend, don't spend. Those are great, but gosh, the picture of whatever that trip I'm going to take or whatever I'm saving for, boy, that can keep me motivated and doing the right things, as opposed to just the end isn't to save. The end is to save for something, or the end is not to cut your spending. It's to cut your spending to allow you to do something else, I would say. So have a goal.
Yes, exactly. And I love that you are saying that, because a lot of goals are so personal. And we always attach them to something super personal. For us, because we have 3 kids, my husband and I have always thought about our kids and our goals. Are we, helping them with school? Soon they're going to be out of our homes. They're growing so fast. They're going to be out of the home, and we need to know what's going to be the next step. How do we want to help them? Are we saving for that? So that helps us focus on the things that we need to be doing in order to save enough to be able to help, to be able to celebrate them on graduation day and things like that. So that it's great to have that focus when it comes to your goals. So I love that you said that.
So time, that's a funny thing, because I can remember when those old people used to say to me, boy, time just zips by. They'll be out of the house before you know it. And so now my baby is going to graduate next summer from nursing school. And so that's it for me. So time does fly, Amiyrah. Time does fly.
Oh, I love that. I love that you're saying that. And I know that she's probably the inspiration to some of your goals, your financial goals.
Yeah, one of the tips that I have, and a lot of people I think use this, but to me I find it really helpful, is to name accounts. So not 56 different accounts, but we always have 2 or 3 goals that we're working for just at this moment. And instead of just having money go into a savings account, it goes into that savings account, but we name the savings account. So one of my goals right now to point is graduation cruise. So when my daughter graduates, we're going to go on a graduate, all things still working at that point, we're going to go on a graduation, I'll call it graduation trip. How about that? Because we don't know what's going to happen. But we've been saving in that account. And again, it makes it very upfront in our face, motivating, because we know the money's going to that account. We know what the purpose is. And guess what? It's hard for me to take out some money out of that account to go buy a golf club or a putter or whatever it might be for my hobby, because I know I'm taking it out of the place, the goal that's important to me.
Yes. And it sounds like it's something that's a habit for you that is not something that you're forcing yourself to do. And I think that might be something we can touch on for everyone. What are some habits, or a few habits, maybe 1 or 2, that you think we should be focusing on as we start on this new journey?
Well, it was kind of interesting, because I was listening to the idea, at least talked about think like a saver. And one of the things that hit me was just this idea that to be really good at this, maybe you don't need to be thinking as much as you think, because one of the things, or one of the tenets of America Saves and military saves, is this idea of making things automatic. And by making them automatic, we don't have to make a decision to save each month or each pay period. It actually happens for us. So I think part of thinking like a saver is having habits where you automatically save, Amiyrah.
And I absolutely agree. And I love that you said military saves, because as someone who was in the military, I'm retired from the Air National Guard, saving was something that we were just told to do. Like, you opened your TSP and you put money in it, and it was on the back burner. We didn't have to think about it, because we just set it up in the beginning, and we were encouraged to just keep putting money in there. And it didn't have to be a lot, but it was a habit that they had us build in the military, which was so nice. And I love that I was able to kind of introduce that into my personal life too, because they instilled that in us. And I know you probably feel the same way as someone who's affiliated with the military. I think we have that same passion about it.
In the military, I love the military pay system because it provides us opportunity after opportunity. And this translates to civilian world too. But what's the easiest money to save? It's the money that you're not already spending. And so in the military, you have time and service pay increases, you have annual cost of employment increases, you have promotions. By the same token, on the civilian side, maybe you have the same sort of thing, promotion, maybe you get a new job opportunity where you get a raise. But you get this money that you're not already spending, because we can all spend money. And it's a great opportunity to start saving.
Yes, I agree. And
for that goal.
For something, right? You have to set that goal and make it personal. And I love that once you've set this goal, there is an opportunity for you to make a pledge. We're going to talk about the America Saves and Military Saves pledge. So if you guys have not signed up for that, this is the perfect opportunity to have someone to help you be accountable, to get information, tips. And I know JJ loves it. JJ, there's like a click through or a down, like a little click button where you can specify.
Exactly. Yeah, you can actually say, hey, this is what I'm saving for. So we've been talking about goals. You can use the America Saves or Military Saves pledge as a way to really articulate that goal very, very specifically. So that's really cool.
I love that. I love it. So if you guys have not signed up yet, make sure you do so. And I think oh my gosh.
It's almost time. I did want the one thing you want to know is maybe you didn't get everything you needed from our little conversation. This is short, maybe not as short as they wanted us to be, but we're still short. But the reality is one of the things you have to be willing to do is ask for help. And I know especially in the military community that can be tough, but we're gonna switch gears now and watch a little video about free financial counseling. And I know for the military community, that's something that's available on every installation. And I think we've got some good news for the broader population as well.
Yes, exciting. So let's go take care and see that.
All right, take care.
Thank you for joining us today for our Think Like a Saver series. The point of these town halls is to give you insight and concrete steps to take wherever you may be in your savings journey, whether it's paying down debt, just starting your emergency fund, or saving for major life milestones. While the tips that you'll walk away with today will be helpful, we know that finances can still feel overwhelming. So at America Saves, we've teamed up with AFCPE and Yellow Ribbon Network to connect you to no-cost financial counseling and coaching. The counselors and coaches are accredited professionals and will provide you with unbiased, trustworthy advice and help you make the right plan right where you are. The program is available to everyone, and the sessions are virtual and free. You do not need to be military to participate. It's not too good to be true. It's simply the right thing to do in these unprecedented times. So how can you get a session with a financial counselor or coach for free? Go to yellowribbonnetwork.org/AFCPE COVID-19. Follow the steps to create your profile, which is short and pretty easy. When you click the button at yellowribbonnetwork.org/AFCPE COVID-19, it will lead you through the process, which takes less than 5 minutes. In the first steps, you'll fill out basic demographic information and indicate if you are a military or a non-military civilian. Remember, this is available and free to both. Next, you'll explain your basic situation. And then finally, they'll ask you who sent you. You can tell them America Saves did. They'll ask you a few more questions to pair you with the ideal counselor or coach for your unique situation. After that, you're done. The counseling task force will review your profile and match you with the most appropriate counselor based on your location and situation. That counselor will then reach out and contact you directly to schedule and ultimately provide a session, which usually takes less than 48 hours. At America Saves, we want you to feel empowered with the knowledge from the town hall today and optimistic about your savings journey. Accessing this free financial counseling or coaching may be your next concrete step.
So we have heard some great information from our team and the speakers, and now it's time for our savers to have a turn for them to ask some questions themselves. So if you are watching and have a question you like answered, please post them in the chat or in the comment section. If you're watching social media, we'll try to get to those. Our team is on standby to answer questions on social media, to get them over to us so that we can answer you in real time. But if we can't get them today, just know that we'll be sure to address them over the next few days on social media. So I'm joined again by Lisa Rowan, author and personal finance expert at Forbes Advisor, Joseph J.J. Montanaro, a certified financial planner, and Director on the Military Advocacy Team at USAA, and Amiyrah Martin, owner and founder of 4hatchandfrugal.com. So let's start off here. At America Saves, we invite anyone to use our resources who wants to support to begin reducing their debt and building wealth, right? We are well aware, though, that some of our savers and Americans really in general are struggling right now. And saving sometimes just isn't currently a possibility for them with the way things are going. How do you encourage saving as a habit while also respecting that a lot of individuals aren't going to be able to begin that habit right this second? Let's start with you, JJ. How would you talk someone through that?
Well, one of the things that you have to acknowledge is that you can't do everything all at once. And so as we were having a discussion talking about this very topic is that while it would be nice to be able to take a broad brush and take care of all the different things that we're trying to accomplish, the reality for most of us, barring a lotto win, is that's just not going to happen. And so what you have to do is just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take little steps, and little by little, those little steps are gonna equate to a lot. And I think that's the recognition and acknowledgement that it's a marathon, not a sprint, will go a long way towards taking satisfaction, being able to take small steps. On the military side, we always talk about, or in general, when we talk about retirement savings, we talk about 10 or 15% as being a great start point. Well, that's a big chunk of money. On the other hand, if you're covered by the blended retirement system in the military, maybe 5% is the threshold where you start at. So you get the full match from the service in terms of the 5% automatic and matching contributions. And again, is it ideal? No, but it's a step. So I guess just being comfortable that we're not going to accomplish everything at once, but we got to take pride and take ownership and say, hey, whatever I can do is what I can do, and that's what I can do. Damn.
I love that advice. Amiyrah, Lisa, do you guys have anything to add to that or want to chime in?
I would just add to, think about if you can't save right now. One of the things that I like to do is run through a couple of different scenarios of my budget at any given time. If I know that my income's going to change, maybe I'm going to have a windfall from, a tax refund or something like that. I want to be able to plan ahead so that I don't have the problem where I have surprise money and I haven't figured out what to do with it. You need to be prepared for these things, even if they're good things. So if I know that maybe I'm out of work right now, but I'm going to be going back to work soon or picking up some shifts, those are some things that I want to be able to account for in my budget. And remember that just because you've done that back of the envelope math doesn't mean you can't do it again and again until it feels right for you. So it may not look at first like you have any money you can put in savings, but you might be able to find that $5 or $10 to get you started.
I love that word that we've been hearing since feel like the beginning of the pandemic is pivot. Everyone's talking about how they've had to pivot everything. You can also pivot your finances, right? Really, really great answers. So, Amiyrah, I'm gonna start by posing this question to you. So, Lala, our staff, AFC, she suggested that our savers track their spending for a week or two to find out how they're really spending and saving their money, but really spending their money before working in that really great spending and savings tool resource that we've linked for all of our savers to use. What are some of those things that they should be keeping in the forefront of their minds during that time where they're tracking all of their expenses? I'm sure you did that when you were working on your plan to pay off $36,000 in debt. Like, what did you really have to keep in the forefront of your mind there?
When you're going to go on that journey, the hardest thing that you're going to deal with is seeing where you're actually spending each and every dollar. So I think that you gotta face the facts head on. So it's nice if you're looking at the amount of money that you've been saving or where you've been allocating the good stuff, but let's deep dive into the things where you're like, oh my gosh, I have eaten out for lunch 4 days in a row in 1 week. Those are the things that you really want to be cognizant of. So start really paying attention to the things where it feels like it's an everyday thing for you, but it's more of a luxury for you. Those are the things that are really getting you on your finances. So, the coffee's out. You hear people saying that all the time. And any type of food that you're purchasing, or your Amazon purchases, because you can just click so easy. Those are the ones that you really need to pay attention to. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do it every day? Why am I doing it on this certain day? Some days you may actually need to eat out for lunch because you may be far away from home, or it may be situational. So during those 2 weeks, really pay attention to where the money is going in terms of spending, but also figure out the why. Why am I doing that? And if you can't come up with a valid why to why you're spending that money, then you definitely need to reevaluate those parts of your budget.
So much of how we spend and even save is behavioral, right? And there's usually a why attached to almost everything we do. I'm a military spouse, and one of the running jokes between most military spouses that I hear are that our husbands on the stop at the shop at or the convenience store on base every morning. It's been like $6 to $10, and that adds up, right? You think that it's nothing in that moment, that $6 for whatever, but every single day it absolutely adds up to a big bill. So yes, those little things that sneak up on you, those vampire costs for sure. So Lisa, let's say you've tracked those expenses, right? You have a clear view of your finances, and you make a decision that it's time to curb some of those expenses. What are some quick ways, and maybe some not so obvious ways, to start kind of trimming down how you're spending?
So remember, when you're trying to spend less money, that if you're trying to go cold turkey and go from spending, buying lunch out 4 days a week to 0 days a week, you're setting yourself up for failure. You don't go to the gym and expect that you can lift 100 pounds on the second day you go, right? You have to make small steps in your progress. So if you're trying to spend less money, start to reduce your spending gradually. Try to go out for lunch 3 days a week at work instead of 4, and sort of, dial it back and see how it feels too. Then it can help you recognize those parts of your budget that need tweaking versus things that might be situational and it might be the best thing for you. So don't expect yourself to be perfect the minute that you start trying to cut back your spending, but definitely do it by degrees instead of trying to make one huge pivot.
I love that. And one of the things when I'm trying to curb my spending is I do love to go out and eat. It's one of my ways to treat myself, but I'll drink water instead of having like a full beverage that I have to pay for. So that's like baby steps, right? JJ, once you have curbed those expenses, right, you know where you want to trim down, you've freed up some money, or perhaps you've used that spending and savings tool and you see that you have an overage. You have money there left at the end of after you've saved everything, spent everything that you would like to. When you're looking at that overage of income, what can you do to be a better steward of that money?
That's a great problem to have, right? Most world's problem to have that overage of money. I think before I go there, I do want to go back because I think Lisa used a great analogy talking about physical fitness. And I think there's some beauty in the exercise and tracking, because if you go back to the weight loss industry, what do they always want you to do? Count your points, count your calories, that sort of thing. And just the act of counting, or in this case, tracking your spending, can really identify things that are opportunities for you. So I think that we're heading down the right path there. But as far as how do you become a good steward of whatever it is you freed up through that exercise, to me that goes back, and we keep saying this, but it goes back to goals. So I guess Lisa talked about the idea of, hey, I'm going to have a prioritization of where I'm going to put things when things are good. Well, that prioritization is basically a list of the goals of things you want to accomplish.
Love that. So it all comes back down to those very behavioral things, figuring out your why, figuring out what goals you have, and starting small and thinking big, right? So Lisa, JJ, Amiyrah, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us today. You've given us some fantastic tips for our savers, and I love that your advice was just so practical and realistic, right? So we hear all the time from outside entities like about savings, and it just doesn't feel like something that you can actually accomplish. And I feel like what you have laid, the groundwork that you have laid for our savers, are things that they can actually walk away from today and start implementing into their lives right now. So thank you for being here with us today. We are so thankful to have partners like you, and I'll see you around soon, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for attending the Think Like a Saver Town Hall, Simple Strategies to Help You Save. On behalf of the team at Amiyrah Saves, we hope that you leave today feeling empowered and excited about getting a clear view of your finances and setting some new savings goals for yourself and your family. Few reminders before we go. Be sure to enter the Think Like a Saver sweepstakes, where you can be one of 5 people from this town hall that gets a $500 cash prize. All you have to do is, within the next 24 hours, go to the Amiyrah Saves Facebook page, comment with your very top takeaway from this town hall, okay? Your top takeaway on the live broadcast on the Amiyrah Saves Facebook page. The second thing you need to do is to make sure that you have taken the Amiyrah Saves Pledge or Military Saves Pledge in the last 12 months. Now, if you aren't sure if you've done it within the last 12 months, well, go and repledge. You can either take the Amiyrah Saves Pledge or Military Saves Pledge to be eligible, okay? Next, make sure that you take advantage of the free financial coaching and counseling that's being offered to you through AFCPE and the Yellow Ribbon Network. Remember, it is no cost to you, and it is important, we feel, to have someone who is certified, well-versed, has vast knowledge around steps you can take to meet your financial and savings goals, okay? The next town hall that we have will be on November 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we are talking about student loan debt and consumer debt. So that is Think Like a Saver. How do I pay down debt? Okay, November 5th, 2 p.m. Eastern, and you can register the same way you registered here or watch it on live stream. We want to thank our sponsors who made this completely possible by their generous donations. That's AFCPE, Daily Pay, and the National Credit Union Foundation. We will see you in 2 weeks, same time, same place. Make sure you're registered. We'll talk to you soon.